I've got 2 series ideas, which one should I pick? How about both at the same time? That should do the trick. 22 full years of questing, no breaks or death, this will be fun. RuneScape 3 Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, questing through 2001. Welcome back to May 8th, 2001. I'm just doing a bit of mining and smithing, because I am not prepared for everything that we're doing here moving forward in the updates and all that. And there is 45 mining. That is a quest requirement. Higher critical swing against adamantite and luminite. Higher chance finding geodes from adamantite and luminite. And also granite. Granite is going to be sooner than those other things, but not out yet. Also, training mining and smithing to be able to make better things, and actually very soon quest requirements, at least for the mining portion, and also to make some money. Lots of good reasons to train mining and smithing, even if it is still quite slow. 47 smithing. Extra bar chance for adamant. But actually for us, nothing. We are at the tail end of the steel table here, and it's slightly more spread out, so nothing at 47. 46 mining. As a quest requirement for mining rubium and increased stamina. Wonder if this will be the next level where we can AFK longer, because that's always nice. So that's what we actually get for 46. No actual unlocks, really. Well, that's okay. And there is 48 smithing. That is smelt adamant bars 50% faster, but actually steel plate bodies. And so that means when we get around to making our full steel set, we can actually have the full plate version. The chain would have been fine, but this is even better. Even better. And with that, I think we are done for smithing for right now. So we can start moving on to the updates. And we have quite a few of them to go through here. Lots of very interesting stuff. But firstly, we will sell off the last helmets here. Get a few more coins. Made 9,000 coins in that bit of mining and smithing there. Withdraw all that. And we now have 53,679 coins. Very nice. We have some more geodes here. Enough that we could technically get 1 gem if we combine it with the other 40-ish geodes we had last time. So let's open these until we get 1 gem that counts, I guess. Oh, we got a diamond. Diamonds are actually significantly more common, even with my 85 geodes business. And there's nothing we can do with this at all. So I guess we could just sell it. See which is worth 60 coins. Disappointing. If this was a little bit later, I would consider holding on to this diamond. I'll hold it for now. Yeah, we'll worry about this diamond later. Well, technically it's only useful if we cut it. This is the quintessential Ultimate Ironman conundrum. Do I keep the thing? because everything you keep is another inventory space you can't use for doing other things. And getting this from mining is exceedingly rare. But if I want to hold this until I get to where I need a diamond, we'll hold it for now. If I get to a part where I want to use more of my inventory, we will think about it at that point. But this could be very useful in a little bit here. But we will think about it. We will think about it. And while we think about it, we will hop worlds. The second world was added on May 9th, 2001. So now we have options. We can go to 2 different worlds, technically. There's not a huge amount of things that we really would benefit from hopping worlds with. And there's still technically only 2, but honestly, for most of those situations, 2 worlds is actually fine. So I think that's nice. Could have some use. Would have probably made use of this. I mean, if it's still only 2 worlds, that's still not quite good enough to bother with. Back when I was trying to fight a whole bunch of imps. Because if I just let all the imps wander away, hop to the second world, all the imps wander away, that's it. Really gets more useful when you can just keep on hopping through a bunch of different worlds. But not quite there yet. Instead, I'm going to go run over to Varrock, because things are going to be happening there in a little bit. But before we get to that, we have a very interesting update. On May 10th, 2001, the skill list was changed a bit. And that is to say, let's get into position here. Seven skills were deleted. If we compare the original skills list to what we have now on this update, we can see that a lot of changes have been made. Some things are missing, some things are new, but mostly this is a visual change. The actual content involved in any of these new additions is coming later. First up, we've got evil magic, good magic, pray evil, and pray good. These were all condensed down into just magic and just prayer. How this worked is whichever of the 2 skills you had at a higher level, you get to keep, and the other one is just thrown away. So, say you had 5 evil magic and 3 good magic, you stayed at level 5 magic. So, you lost a little bit of experience, but magic wasn't exactly super useful at this point, so hopefully you didn't lose too much. And prayer didn't even do anything yet, so What happened with all the actual content that was in the magic skills is that it was spread out between magic and prayer, temporarily. Any, attacking spells were moved over to magic. Any lingering effect kind of things were moved over to prayer. And camouflage was just completely deleted. It never did anything anyways, so it wasn't exactly missed, but there you go. tailoring was just completely deleted with no fanfare. There was nothing in tailoring, no way to train it, so it's just gone. Thieving is slightly more interesting, since SpyQuest originally gave you some thieving experience, but now it's completely gone. Unlike the changes for magic and prayer, where it's just switched to a different thing. And also at this point, the quest no longer gives thieving experience, so presumably that was just removed entirely. There are 2 new skills, which are actually going to be coming out eventually. Fishing and fletching. Much like Pray Evil, Pray Good, Tailoring, Thieving before them, these are just completely empty skills that you can't do anything with, you can't train them, but eventually you will be able to. So it's more of a teaser for future content, I suppose. Herblore is still in that state, did not get removed off the list. Again, more of just a teaser for later content. Although, to be fair, tailoring, thieving were just removed here, so a teaser for potential new content, I suppose. And then, lastly, influence was removed. Originally, you got bits of influence from only some quests, but now that entire system is gone, and it was replaced with quest points, coming from every single quest, which is very nice. Quest points now exist, and we have 34 quest points. So that means we can go to the Champions Guild. Isn't that exciting? In theory, this should be the roughly correct amount of quest points to get in here. Just because we didn't get too many extra quest points from all our shenanigans. And I don't think they would have changed it so you couldn't get into the Champions Guild. We might have like 1 extra quest point than we should, in theory. But still, it's enough to get in here. In the Champions Guild. So in here, we got a few things. We got some chickens. Always a fun time. Looks like less chickens than we can get in other locations, so not super useful. But there is a range right here, so if I still needed to cook a bunch of chickens, this would be a convenient location, since I wouldn't have to constantly be making fires. So that'd be nice. There's also a few things in here that aren't here yet, like the signature heroes hanging out, having a good time. But if we head upstairs, we can see more useful things. There is no Mystic Marge here. That is a future update with all the shop changes to put magic stuff in the Champions Guild. And also, Scabo is not here. He's got the rune equipment, which still doesn't exist. So what we do have is Villain and the Champions store. Nope, that is not what's in here at all. Okay. So what we should be able to get in the Champions Guild presumably has been moved between the shops here. Maybe Scavo has it now. No, he just has all rune stuff. All right, here's one thing that should exist. The Champion's Cape. It's blue and very fancy. So we're going to we're going to switch out the black cape for a blue one. Because why not? Looks nice. Very fancy. This just a blue cape. Possibly better than other capes. Does it have any stats for us? Is the question. The answer is the same as the regular black cape. No stats. But it looks nice. So I'm okay with that. Other things that we should be able to buy here are the adamant plate body, black plate legs, and black full helm, which presumably have been moved to the other plate armor store in Varrock. So now that we actually have access to the Champions Guild, we should have access to these shops here in Varrock. So we will see if these are actually in stock here with Horvik. He'll be the theoretical replacement for the Champion store, besides this fancy cape, which is nice. So, Horvik, what do you got? He's got up to adamant. Perfect. So we can now purchase adamant plate bodies here for 16,000 coins, which, for once, is actually an accurate amount. That is how much an adamant plate body would have cost. Price is 16,000. Can you say any more specific than that? Info? It says 16K, but that's not actually the full number here. Well, if we can afford it, we can't. If we're worried about less than 1,000 coins, we've got bigger problems. We can also purchase black plate legs for even less than they used to be. So that's actually a good deal on black plate legs. And black full helms for the correct price. Fascinating. Prices are a bit all over the place here. As you can see, black is cheaper than steel and iron with the current setup here. Just because you can't smith black equipment and the mining and smithing rework changes, and then the shop changes and all that. But those are now things we can purchase here. Technically. We can call it a different shop. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And now, we move on to the next update. On May 24th, 2001, the big Magic and Prayer update. There is a lot of new stuff. But before we worry about any of that, there's also another new thing. And this one has actually been removed. If we come over to this building right here, in May 2001, we would find Thrander, an NPC located in Varrock, right over here, who provides a service of converting armor from male to female, free of charge. You can take bronze through adamant, plate bodies, and plate legs, and turn them into a kind of female plate body and plate skirts. And an interesting mechanic with these is that female players can wear both tops, but males can only wear the male top. And everyone can wear both the plate legs and plate skirts. Interesting. There is also some slight mechanical differences between these. But that's alright. We don't have access to any of these things anyways, so we're not going to worry about it. We've got plate legs and plate skirts and one type of plate body. And that's okay. Also included in this update are some things down near Port Sarim. We're going to pop over there. Deep down in the Asgarnia Ice Dungeon, Ice Warriors have been added. For whatever reason, they weren't here at the start of the Ice Dungeon, just Ice Giants. But now there's also Ice Warriors here. So, that's nice. Still getting mugged down here. Not ideal. Don't know if we're ever going to really be fighting any Ice Warriors for any reason, but, I mean, it's something. It's something. Next item in question, and it's definitely in question this time, is this church here. It is added somewhere between April and June, but since it's just our random church out here in kind of the middle of nowhere, only really useful if you're going to the Ice Dungeon, I guess, it's not exactly clear when this was added. It's not hugely important when it is added, and especially for us because we are going to be sprinting forwards to a time when it's for sure added anyways. But it may or may not exist at this point. And the only reason I have arbitrarily decided that this church might exist is because this update that added prayer and magic, one of those two things is prayer. So how about you do a massive increase to the usefulness of the prayer skill, and you also add some more altars in places. Makes enough sense, right? Speaking to the usefulness of the prayer skill, we've got prayers. Some of these are leftovers from good magic and evil magic, which has been partially put into magic, partially completely removed, and partially moved into prayers. There was a lot of weird stuff in there. But what now exists are 5, 10, and 15% boosts to attack, strength, and defense. Things like Rock Skin, Burst of Strength, Clarity of Thought. Except the first one's actually Thick Skin at level 1. For whatever reason, the current way that prayer works is that you cannot use the lower level prayers. Presumably, the lower level prayers would use less prayer points, one would think. Just the drain rate in general. Because Thick Skin's drain rate was 6 per second. Seconds per point. 6 seconds per point. I think that is 6 with the full 120. I think that's normal. Total points. Yeah. And then the one that we can actually use, Rock Skin, is apparently less somehow. At 1.5? That seems unlikely. Or maybe it is just drain rate points per minute. Okay, by going down in seconds per point, that's actually worse. Yeah. Thick Skin drains 10 points per minute, and Rock Skin drains 40. And also, the exact amounts that these changed has also changed. Like, rock skin here increases. That's not the most descriptive bit of information there on that, is it? Increases. So it's no longer just 5, 10, and 15%. It's like +2 and +2%, +4 and +4%, +6 and +6%. So if there was situations where you wanted to use a lower level prayer because you didn't want to drain as many prayer points, that's no longer an option for whatever reason. Also, the range and magic variants do not exist yet, so that's not a thing. What does exist is Rapid Heal and Rapid Restore. Precisely what would be draining your stats at this point is a good question. But not particularly useful. There's also Protect Item. Keep an extra item when you die. Would be a pretty good idea to use that in dangerous situations. Except we're also trying not to die, so hopefully Protect Item will never have any use to us. That's the idea, isn't it? There's also Protect from Missiles. Assuming anything in the game has range attacks yet. And the final prayer. Paralyze Monster. Works a lot like how Protect from Melee would have worked if it was added at this point, since basically everything has melee attacks. It just makes your opponent paralyzed. Can't do anything. Pretty convenient. Very cool. If your opponent can't attack you, you're going good. And it's specifically Paralyze Monster, so it doesn't actually work against players or anything. So, that is prayer. We can now technically use some of the prayers, if we were so inclined. The only way to restore prayer is still altars. So it's going to have limited use here. There's an achievement, sure. But it's a nice thought. And then the second bit of this was the update to Magic. Magic had a lot of new things added. Many new spells, and even a bunch of new runes. Unfortunately, the magic shops were not added to give any new runes, so we are still stuck with pretty much just the basics from Betty and Aubrey. That's pretty much it. So, while some of these runes will be added here eventually, we don't get them. The runes in question that were added, I'm going to close this door so a mugger can't get in, were the Chaos, Death, Cosmic, Nature, and Law runes. With that information, you can get a pretty good idea of the kind of spells that now exist. For the attacking spells, we have Wind, Water, Earth, and Fire. Strikes, which used Mind runes. Bolts, which used Chaos runes. And Blasts, which use Death runes. That is no longer the case for any of those. It's just air and the other element, if necessary. Air alone is only air runes. So we can still technically get away with just using an air staff, although the base air staff is only level 1, so that's still not good. Magic is going to still be a slight issue. What's slightly more interesting is all the other spells that were added. We've got Confuse, Weaken, and Curse for various debuffs to your enemies. We've got Bones to Bananas, which turns bones into bananas, unsurprisingly. We've got Crumble Undead, which might not even exist anymore. Basically, removed in 2012. That just the evolution of combat? Yep. Removed completely with the evolution of combat. A special spell that did more damage against undead. But everything was pretty homogenized at the start of EOC, so that's gone. Back in skilling, we get Superheat item, which is pretty cool. Automatically smelt a bar without needing to go to a furnace. Very convenient for certain mine to anvil locations, like the dwarven mine that we're using for steel. If we don't need to go to a furnace, that's got some uses. There's also telekinetic grab, so you can grab a thing from further away. This is going to be used in many places, mostly quests, and a few where you can't actually get to the item. One spot that could be helpful would be the gold bar in the Varrock Bank cellar. Not sure if that exists yet. That would be a useful thing to have, potentially. Because there is just a gold bar that you can telegrab there. And that'd be a nice time. Nice time to have that. Since we have such difficulties getting our own gold bars. So we'll have to look into that in the future. Assuming we can get our hands on some law runes, of course. There's also low and high level alchemy for converting things into gold at a much better rate than just selling them to shops. Examine our steel dagger here. The high alchemy value is 200, where selling it to the shop only gets us 100. So if we high alched this, it would cost us a nature rune, but we get many more coins instead. Might also need to check how accurate the current high alch values of things are, because that's also been a bit of a mess with the mining and smithing rework. Another thing to consider. For law runes, we get the first batch of teleports to Lumbridge, Varrock, and Falador. So that is very convenient for getting around the map. Slightly less convenient for us, and for pretty much everyone at this point, since you can't put stuff in banks yet, I don't think. But a law rune, some air runes, a couple other elemental runes. You can fly around to the major towns in the starting area of Lumbridge. So that's definitely has uses. We will see how much teleporting we get up to. Again, assuming we can get the runes together. And the last type of rune used for the enchanting. We got cosmic runes. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 enchants, which are only used on amulets. So you can make the Magic Amulet, Defense Amulet, Strength Amulet, and Power Amulet from Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby, and Diamond, respectively. So, many new spells. Lots of good stuff there. Still, using magic is a bit awkward. Training magic is a bit awkward. But we're going to have to do some magic at some point here. We will worry about that when we get to it. But that is basically all the update for this update. Skills were removed, and now some of them are back in much improved states. So, that's good. Next, on May 25th, 2001, we got a third world. So now, go to our world select here. We can go to another place. Probably don't want to go to this world. Too many people there. Might actually just end up switching that out of my preferred list here anyways, but either way. 3 worlds now exist, so any world hopping we want to do, we now have even more options. Again, not that that's super necessary, but good to have. And this was also a point where the rules around multi-logging were set in stone to start. You were not allowed to log into multiple accounts on the same computer. But you can log into multiple accounts on different computers as long as they are on different servers. So you could have 3 accounts playing, 1 on each world, but they're not allowed to interact or anything. And at various points, the way it was made, it was physically impossible, or you really had to do some wacky workarounds to actually multi-log on the same server. Whether or not they were able to easily track that at any given point was a question. But very interesting, all things considered. Nowadays, that is much more relaxed. On May 26th, 2001, people had had a couple days to play with the new prayers, where the only place that you could recharge was at altars. So they were made to last 50% longer. So basically, halving the drain rate. If prayer drained twice as fast, you would not be able to get very much use out of it, wherever it is that you were going. So that's a nice change. Would have been wildly more expensive to use prayer if that had not been changed at this point. And we continue moving on. Many updates here. Because on May 28th, we got the quest list. Previously, you just had to remember what you were doing. Possibly be able to talk to an NPC again to remind you of what quests you were actually working on. But now you have a full quest list. This is also where the actual names of the quests for some of them were first shown. Like, Spy Quest was now called Black Knight's Fortress. And Sword Quest was the Knight's Sword. Just really showing you how you're doing with your quests, if you've completed them and all that. Useful information to have, for sure. And then we get to June 11th, 2001. where we have some very, very nice stuff. First up, we've got the addition of the Alcarid Gate between Lumbridge and Alcarid here. No longer do you need to run all the way north and then back down. You can now just cross here. And if you've completed Prince Alley Rescue, you can even cross for free. Otherwise, it is 10 coins. But the entire gate has been removed, so we can just walk through here without even needing to ask them to let us go through for free. So that's brilliant. We can now much more quickly get from Lumbridge to Alcarid if we were so inclined to do so. So that's nice. Probably a bit more interesting than a gate. We now have a whole new island. We can go to Karamja for 30 coins. Yes, please. We get on a boat, and we to appreciate the boat cutscene here. Wild. We can skip this cutscene, but why would you? You're on a boat, having a good time. And we arrive at Karamja. The boat looks nothing like the boat that we took to get here, which is hilarious. And here we are. And my goodness, Karamja has not had a graphical rework. It's looking very old school still. Anyways, there's a few things here. We've got customs officers for going back, which will play a role in the future. We've got Luthus and his banana plantation. Very nice. A much easier place to get bananas than the store that don't think that even stocks bananas anymore for us currently. So if you want bananas, this is the place to be, for sure. We then have Zambo and his store here. Hey, are you wanting to try some of my fine wines and spirits? All brewed locally on Karamja. Yes, please. He sells regular beer, but in a interface system here, so you don't have to spam through a whole bunch of dialogues. Karamjan rum, and jugs of wine. So, that's interesting. Also, the jugs of wine are incredibly expensive for some reason. Originally, these were sold for 1 coin. And now, they're being sold for 128. Wild. Probably not going to do that. Probably not going to do that. And next building over, we've got the general store. The general stores. They're all the same. This store will have all of the general store goodness that we have come to expect. So, that's great. If we continue further on the island here, there's a handful of things here that I don't think exist yet. No snakes, no monkeys, no jungle spiders here. So this part of the island is pretty barren. But once we get up to the volcano, we've got scorpions. These are the unaggressive scorpions that we've come to enjoy in the dwarven mines, so that's fine. Then on this side, might be some imps wandering around. Those are also moved, possibly. Yeah, there's just monkeys here now. There's an imp. Some imps exist here. Not that we need to worry about that anymore, which is nice. And then also, we can go down into the volcano. Not through that door. That is a completely different place. But down into this dungeon here, where we immediately get attacked by a skeleton. Rude. There's no giant bats here yet. They're level 44. It's not great. There are some deadly red spiders over on that side. And then lesser demons. Pretty wild. There's also possibly some stuff in here. Some ores. Not runite though. These should be gold. So, can't mine these. Not actually a mine here anymore. And this is all there is of this dungeon for now. Lesser demons are level 70. So that's going to be dangerous for us, for sure. And also kind of a problem because they are magic-based enemies. And our range is 1, abysmal, and 2, there are no range weapons for us to even use if we wanted to. So fighting a lesser demon could be a challenge. Also, don't really want to fight them yet, because they don't even drop the one thing they're known for dropping at this point. In the future, we can maybe get some use out of lesser demons. For now, I'm going to get out of this dungeon before all these multi-combat aggressive enemies take me out. That would be a really good place to have some new food. And there is some new food. Very, very many new foods, in fact. Let's get back over to Lumbridge. Although getting off the island, not going to be quite as easy as all that. The customs officer is going to stop us. Can I help you? Can I journey on this ship? You need to be searched before you can board. Why? Because Asgarnia has banned the import of intoxicating spirits. Search away. I have nothing to hide. Well, you got some odd stuff, but it's all legal. And you need to pay the boarding charge of 30 coins. Oh, okay. That's fine. Then we get to enjoy the ship cutscene again. On a ship that looks nothing like the ship that we were boarding. There's just the one ship cutscene here. And that was an achievement to travel to Port Sarim. Delightful. The first new bit of food is the potato. Another goblin raid going on here. Okay. We can get potatoes from potato plants right here, and also further to the west, a bit northwest of Lumbridge. But that potato patch is actually gone now, so we actually can't get potatoes there because they don't exist there anymore. The whole giant crater and all that mixed stuff up over there quite a bit. But potatoes cannot just be cooked into baked potatoes. That is added in 2005. Instead, they are used to make stews. Starting with a bowl, which is now a thing you can make with wet clay in crafting, and also spawns in the Cook's Guild. Put some water in the bowl, add a potato and a piece of cooked meat either beef or chicken, possibly rat. And then you cook it on a range, and you get a stew. For healing, this started at what would, for us, be 90, was improved to 110, and now is 62.5. Next set of foods, we have cakes. We started off the game helping the lumberjacks cook bake a cake, and now the technology is finally there. You just need some flour, eggs, and milk. Mix it all up in a cake tin, and then you can cook the cake on the range to make your own cake. That is at level 40. Stews were level 25. And once you have your cake, it takes 3 bites to eat it, each of them healing 40. And this stayed consistent until it was changed for us to 33.3 times 3 for a total healing of 999, or 99.9 for us. Exactly how fractional life points is counted, since we're in legacy mode, is a question, but not a huge question. It's probably not going to be too important. Let's just manage to somehow survive with a fraction of a health somehow. Hopefully that doesn't happen. At level 50 cooking, you can improve your cake by slapping a chocolate bar on it. You can get the chocolate bar from the Cook's Guild or from the food shop in Port Sarim. And this improves your cake into a chocolate cake, which heals 50 3 times. But for us, 41.6 3 times, for a grand total healing of 124.8. So, it's a bit more. And that's not too bad, considering all you had to do was slap a chocolate bar on it. So, that's nice. And the next type of foods, there were a lot of foods added here, is pizzas. Very similar to the start of making a pie, you need to grab a pot of flour and a bucket of water, and this time mix them together to make pizza dough. This lowest level of pizzas requires level 35 cooking. You then take your pizza dough, which is now pizza shaped, add in tomato and cheese to make an incomplete pizza. Cook it, and you get a plain pizza. This is a single bite food, healing 110. Later changed to 2 bites of 70, and then nerfed in half for us, where it heals 2 bites of 35. If you want to get fancy with your pizza, at level 45, you can add some meat to it. And the meat is so much extra that you now need to take 2 bites to eat the pizza. 2 bites of 70 each. This was changed to 2 bites of 80, and then nerfed to 2 bites of 45. And then at level 55 cooking, you can add anchovies to the pizza. For 2 bites of 80, increased to 2 bites of 90, and decreased to 2 bites of 68.7, for a total of 1,374, or 137.4 for us. And anchovies are also a thing. And also, if we kill a chicken, they now drop sometimes they drop feathers. Slightly buried the lead here on the new foods because there are 10 more, and they are so nice because on this date, June 11th, 2001, the fishing skill was released. Welcome to fishing, it's what we've been wishing for. There's so many new foods and they are so much better. So forget those pie shells and all that insanity. Grab your supplies and head to a river or sea. From the smallest shrimp to the swiftest salmon, the pinchiest lobster, the swordfish that's stabbing, it all is so easy that it kind of invalidated every other thing ever added to the cooking skill. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Because we're going fishing. To start our fishing journey here, we need to come to the fishing shop in Port Sarim and talk to Garant right here. There are all of these fish. These are the ones that exist. All the fish that were added are also sellable to this shop. I mean, technically they're sellable to every shop, but that's not the problem. That's not the point. You can sell your fish here, and it's kind of a introduction to what exists for everyone coming to pick up their fishing supplies. There's also 5 different methods of fishing. You got small net fishing, sea bait fishing, fly fishing, harpoon fishing, and lobster pot fishing. For starters here, at level 1, we can only do small net fishing. We're going to buy that. Drop these feathers for now. And probably should go get an axe. That'd make the most sense. Could go make a steel axe. That'd probably be better. We'll worry about that in a second here. But we do need to go get an axe, because we're going to need to make fires to cook the food here. So that would be a good idea. I think it would probably be faster to just go get a bronze axe and tinderbox over in Lumbridge. So we will start with that. Dropped the pickaxe and hammer. Can get those back when we need them, but inventory space and all that. If we check fishing here, there's actually a lot of things at level 1. Like cray net, crayfish cages for crayfish, heim crabs and Damonheim, and minnows. But those aren't things. Only thing that exists is small nets for shrimp. And so, we will do just that. If we come over here to Draenor Village, we can find an appropriate fishing spot. Interestingly enough, these spots were originally further down the coast. So that's something. Not important or anything, but it's definitely something. So here we can net fish. Much like with the other gathering skills in RuneScape Classic, you would actually have to fish every time. It was not like just AFK like this. So we've got that going for us, which is pretty great. Also, we got a regular tree right here, so I'll make use of that. The willow trees don't exist, and we wouldn't have the woodcutting level to chop them down and make a fire out of them anyway at this point, so well, that's fine. Regular log fires, perfectly acceptable. Eventually this area gets a little more dangerous as dark wizards are added, which are highly aggressive to low-level players and have magic, which is never a good time. But they were removed in the make the starting free-to-play zone safer update. So that's okay. There's also a Black Knight wandering around, but he's not aggressive, so that's fine too. In general, it's a decent place to fish. There are a few other options for locations where you can do your net fishing, but this is definitely a classic one. Always a good time. It also starts off pretty slow, trying to catch shrimp, but that's okay, because it is AFK. At least it is now, so it's something. It's something. We're going to be hanging out here at this fishing spot for quite a while, for a variety of reasons. Well, I'll make sense as we get forwards here. That's okay. Coming up on our first fishing level, whenever we actually catch a fish here. And this also means that we are not level 10 plus in all skills anymore. I guess we weren't because the whole thieving situation, but you couldn't possibly be, and also Herblore is still here, but all skills that can be trained, let's say. Well, there is 2 fishing. That is Davio's. We can't even get to the location that exists that those are in, because it's like part of the other tutorial island kind of something. It's weird. Don't have to worry about that though. That doesn't exist. Instead, we just keep fishing shrimp. Delightful. Level 3 fishing. Oh boy. Nothing at level 3. We are almost to our first inventory of fish here. And then we can cook the fish, which is actually going to be very easy for us, since we are already level 26 cooking from the other cooking activities we've done. Shrimp only require level 1 fishing and level 1 cooking, so we shouldn't burn too many of them, in theory. Although we were still burning chicken, so it's probably still possible. And also we're using fires and not any kind of range or anything, so probably going to still burn some of them. But we have a good head start in the cooking department here, which will be nice. Especially as we move on to higher level fish that require higher level cooking and all that. But first inventory here, once we catch one more shrimp. This all does speed up quite a bit as you get higher levels. But it's a start. It's a start. Also going to get a little bit of wood cutting and fire making here. Just a little bit though. And we already burnt our first shrimp. Brilliant. Off to a great start. For shrimp, much like all the other low-level foods, they were nerfed with the food rebalancing. Started off healing what for us would have been 30s. And then, unlike all the other foods we've dealt with, there was no intermediate stage for any of the fish. They stayed the way they were until they were changed with the food overhaul for Evolution Combat. So they went from 30 down to 20. So pretty much just like any other meat. Although we can just fish them up, which is nice. And there's nothing we can really do with a bunch of shrimp. So we're just going to drop/eat them right here. And chop another log so we can make another fire when we get another inventory. And it's right back to fishing. It's pretty much this for the entire skill. You fish some stuff, cook it if you feel like it, and then drop it. Especially since we don't have banks. Not that you can put things in banks yet anyways, but still. So yeah, shrimp. For quite a while here, it's gonna be. For fishing, nothing at 4. And level 5 fishing is an achievement. And our first unlocks. This is a quest requirement and unlocks bait fishing for sardines. And later, Karambuanji. We are not going to be bait fishing simply because it requires bait and we would have to buy the bait. I don't want to buy the bait, so I'm not going to. Sardines also take 1 cooking in order to cook. Used to heal 40, now only 20. So ultimately, they're just kind of a worse thing to cook for us. And a worse food in general. I mean, they're the same level of food as all the other lowest level things. So besides a little bit more fishing and cooking experience trade-off for having to get the bait, shrimp is still just fine. And there's a whole new inventory, so we can cook it up. See if I get a cooking level here still, because we're still getting cooking experience all through this. Just gonna be slower levels than it would have been if we were already just 1 cooking. But also we're gonna burn less, so it's probably fine overall. But yeah, here comes the cooking level. That's always nice. Cooking level 27 for worm batas. Those are not out yet. Very good. Very good. 6 fishing. Nothing. 7 fishing. There's still nothing unlocked. Just faster. Just keep going faster. And a full inventory. Fantastic. 8 fishing. Nothing at 8. 28 cooking. And that was something. Here it is. Slimy eels. That's kind of a fish. That's not existing yet. Sweet corn, vegetable batas, and stop burning Karambuanji. Oh, none of that. But more cooking, less burning. Very good. 9 fishing. Levels are really coming in pretty quick here. Which makes sense, since we're so low level. But nothing at level 9. 29 cooking. Also, did not burn a shrimp this entire inventory. So that's nice. That is mud pies, green man ales, cheese and tomato bataz, and duskeel and etiquette potatoes. None of those exist. 10 fishing. That's another achievement. And actually an unlock. Is a quest requirement, red eyes in Damonheim, but it is actually herrings. Again with sea bait fishing, which we are not doing, because we would need to buy the bait. Technically, it wouldn't cost us too much to get the bait, because it's not going to be useful for too many levels here. But shrimp is free, so sounds good to me. Herring at 10 fishing and 5 cooking. Originally would have healed 50, but it still counts as one of those lowest level foods, so it's down to 20. Quite a substantial nerf. But of course, nobody's really out here eating herrings, so doesn't matter too much. So that's fine. 11 fishing. Nothing there. And now, multiple levels. Chopping this tree here. Eventually, with our bronze axe. That is 12 wood cutting. And then we light the log with our tinderbox. And that is 15 fire making. Brilliant. Let's get those shrimp a-cooking while we look at any unlocks we got. Log canoes, once the canoe system exists. And oak logs, once oak logs exist. And we can also burn evil oak trees, once that exists. So our fire making is slightly ahead of the wood cutting. And that makes sense because each bit of log gives more fire making than wood cutting experience. Eventually that will even out slightly more once there's more things to do with logs. But for now, we're just going to get 30 cooking, which is an achievement. Seems like there's like an achievement for every 5 levels or so. Might go to 10 later. Either way, level 30 cooking is a requirement for multiple quests. Giant flatfish in Damonheim, wormholes, roasted chompies. None of those are things. But we do get 2 actual unlocks here. Tuna and apple pies. So that's pretty cool. 12 fishing. No unlocks. But what we do get is total level 300 milestone. And also virtual total level 300 milestone. We don't have any virtual levels. I mean, I guess you could call all the skills that we have at level 1 that don't exist yet. And also agility and thieving. Virtual levels, but 300. That's not bad. Could calculate exactly what our actual total level would be. It's going to be minus a lot. Not really too important. Just nice to continue getting bigger numbers, nice even numbers. Total experience, 194,000. So, that's a little bit. The vast majority of that is in mining and smithing, for sure. But fishing and cooking is going to be heading upwards here too, so that's good. 13 fishing. No unlocks. 31 cooking. We are still burning shrimp, so. That is a quest requirement where we make a fish cake. Neat. 14 fishing. No unlocks. 15 fishing. We actually do get something. It is anchovies here in our nets. Now shrimp, we're giving us 10 experience. Let's see how much an anchovy can give. As far as 40. It is a lot better. That's literally 4 times more fishing experience. Solid. As far as anchovies as a food are concerned, they are not very good. They only take 1 cooking to cook. And originally they would have healed 10 for us. But with the food changes, they were actually doubled in level. Doubled in healing. So they now heal 20, like pretty much everything else. Getting the same amount of cooking experience, unfortunately. That's just a bit more fishing experience here. So, that's something. And we're also, if we are good here, nope, 1 fish off from that. That's unfortunate. 16 fishing, which isn't an unlock for us, but is an unlock. Big net fishing, where we will be able to get mackerels, oysters, caskets, and seaweed once big net fishing becomes a thing. That is actually fairly soon here. Not that we would ever really do any big net fishing. It's not really that good as far as fish is concerned. But yeah, that's alright. And there's 32 cooking. Well, that is a quest requirement. Drunk Dragons, access to the Chef's Guild, so we can go in there and get all the neat stuff. And biscuits, cream cheese, and cheesecake from a chef's assistant. So, essentially, we can get into the Chef's Guild. So, that, I wouldn't say it's going to be useful, exactly, but it's definitely a thing. 17 fishing. Nothing here. 18 fishing. For nothing. And 16 fire making. That is actually a quest requirement, amazingly enough. And I guess we could stick around for the cooking level coming up here. Getting pretty consistent experience here. Not burning too much at this point. It should tell us when we can no longer burn shrimp, since it has all the "you stop burning" level up messages. So that could be useful. 33 cooking. That is chocolate Saturday and flatfish potato in Daemonheim. Those don't exist. 19 fishing. Nothing. 13 wood cutting. No unlocks. And there is 20 fishing. This is a very important level. So I'm going to start cooking here, and we can look at it. This is Dusk Eels in Daemonheim, once dungeoneering is a thing, and much more importantly, fly fishing for trout, which is the next fishing method we are going to look into. We are going to need to get a fly fishing rod, and we are also going to need to get feathers. We can get feathers either from buying from the fishing store or killing chickens. And one of those things is free and also trains combat skills. So that's the one we're going to do. Drop all these as we run over to the chickens, leaving just a trail of fish in our wake. Wild. Since they don't always drop feathers, it's not going to be an exact number of chickens we need to kill to get a certain amount. But they drop enough that pretty manageable. We just get in here and get the door closed behind us so they can't escape. And see if any chickens are inside. Just got Fred there. Looks good. We can just open up the loot interface and grab any feathers. And if we have any time, we can also pick up the bones. Get some prayer XP out of this. There is 21 Constitution. No unlocks. And 15 defense for the Silver Precision Bracelet in Daemonheim and the ability Revenge. Once those are things. I'm also going to try to get my strength and defense back together at the same experience. But overall, this is a very fast way of getting feathers. Every time we move, it moves us to a different tile, and there's a different amount of feathers we can pick up, which is a little awkward, but I don't think we really have time for the bones here. There's also 16 strength. Nothing there. There's going to be a lot of levels flying in here. And a lot of feathers, which is what we're here for. I don't know exactly how many feathers I want, but I know what combat levels I at least want, so we can work from that at least. Give us some idea of what we're doing. $16 defense. No unlocks. 13 prayer. I'm grabbing a few bones when I can here. That is superhuman strength, which is actually a thing. So that's good. Exactly how much use we're going to get out of prayer is questionable, since the only way to restore is altars. But nice to start getting the experience here and get the levels. And there is 17 strength and 17 defense. Got those all together here. No unlocks for either of those. 22 Constitution. Honestly, any additional levels in Constitution is just great. More health means more not dying, which is just fantastic. And also, we need higher Constitution in order to heal more from our food. So that's important too. There's 18 strength and 18 defense. Also getting some combat levels here, so that's also good. 19 strength and defense. That's actually part of a shortcut requirement in agility, but 19 defense is nothing. This is very fast experience, but also we have to click every chicken, so I don't know if we would keep doing this for an excessive period of time. It's very safe though. It's very safe. Literally, we're taking a little bit of damage. We can always just cook some chicken if we really cared. So, there we go. 23 Constitution. And no unlocks there. But much more importantly, level 20 defense and 20 strength. And that's where we're going to call the chicken culling for now, because we also have 1,000 feathers. That's pretty good. And that'll get us a nice start to fly fishing. 20 strength is required for the Merimost Maul and the Black Mask. But 20 defense is the real deal. There's a lot of things on this list, most of which don't exist. We got the Blood Spindle Longbow in Daemonheim, the Willow Shield Bow, Ghost Hunter Armor Tier 1, Spider Silk, Paraleather in Daemonheim, Blightleaf in Daemonheim, Meramos in Daemonheim, the Mirror Shield, Yakhide Armor, Studded Armor, the Slayer Helmet, Castle Wars Decorative Armor, Animal Staffs, Combat Armor from Fist of Guthix, and what actually matters here, Steel. Technically, Steel should still require no requirements whatsoever, but also technically, it should also require 5 defense, but it requires 20 now, so we can't put it on earlier. What we can do is go make ourselves a full set of steel armor. And here is a whole bunch of steel stuff smelted and smithed and mined. The whole process. Ended up needing to do 2 inventories of ores just because of all the extra things that I have. So made a few additional things which could be useful. First up, we've got the actual armor. We go from 297 armor bonus to 320, 346, 371, 394 in our full steel. So that's a bit more. That's always nice. Also made a steel mace. Mixed it up a little bit here. It technically has prayer bonus, but that's really not going to be too helpful compared to it weighing slightly more than the dagger. Eventually we're going to have a mace in the future, and they don't actually have prayer bonus yet, but 2 prayer bonus is nothing to worry about. We still don't have ways to actually make use of that, and we're not going to have paralyzed monster, which is just going to make us invulnerable to all damage. So prayer is not actually the best, really. Also made a steel hatchet, which we will use to replace this bronze hatchet, which technically we got for free, so we're just going to drop that. So let us go put this away. Well, put this away, he says. We're going to sell all the other things. This mace is much more hefty than the dagger. My goodness. The dagger is actually fairly long for a dagger, but compared to the absolute chunk of this mace, my goodness. Let's sell some stuff here. We can find where the store guy went. There he is. He wanders around quite a bit. We can sell all of our old things for a little bit. And iron, and the iron, and the iron, and the daggers, and the maces. Keep the hatchet, of course. So that's good. So now, we got a whole new set of equipment here. Still rocking the Amulet of Accuracy that actually only helps for range, the completely cosmetic cape, and the completely cosmetic gold ring. And these 19 bronze arrows that we still have for whatever reason. We have them because they are in an equipment slot and they're not taking up any space, so that's fine. But now, it is back to fishing, where we can now go do some fly fishing. So of course we need a fly fishing rod, because the tool belt doesn't exist yet. Back to Port Sarim, because that's where the fishing shop is. Not the fishing rod. Very specifically need the fly fishing rod. So we'll take that. So this fishing method uses 2 inventory spaces because there's a bait involved, but that's okay. Now we just need to get over to a location where fly fishing can happen. And here we are, right outside Barbarian Village. We got trees here we can chop in order to make fires. and the lure / bait fishing spots. Lure being the fly fishing. So, we're going to fish some trout. Level 20 fishing. So it's going to be a little more difficult to fish than shrimp were. And then it's at an achievement for fishing that. Brilliant. And then at 15 cooking, they can be fished. Or cooked, obviously. And we have 33, so we're still well above the level requirement. Used to heal 70, but since they are low level food at 15 cooking, they only heal 37.5, which is not great. So, it's back to fishing. 21 fishing. No unlocks for that level. Just getting a couple trout here. 50 experience each. There's a good run. Getting 77 experience per trout. There is level 34 cooking. That is stop burning the lowest level things like anchovies, rabbit, chicken, crayfish, shrimp, and meat. Right after we're done ever cooking a shrimp ever again. That's okay. This is also the level for bacon piles and raw bacon piles, wizard mind bombs, and garden pies. So, no actual new unlocks for us. Only burning a few of the trout though, so it's nice. 22 fishing. No unlocks. 23 fishing. That is cod, once big net fishing exists. Nothing for us. 35 cooking. That is a quest requirement. Rainbow fish. Vegetable balls. Vanilla cream cheese, which don't exist. And actually two things that do exist. Wine and plain pizzas. But of course, fish is just much more convenient. 24 fishing. Nothing here. 25 fishing. That is actually an unlock. That is pike with river bait fishing. So, right here, same place. We just need bait instead of feathers, which we are not going to go get, because we can only buy the bait, and we have 1,000 feathers, so I am perfectly fine continuing on with trout. Level 25 fishing for pike. Level 20 cooking. Was 80 healing. Now is 50. So, there you go. 26 fishing. No unlocks. 36 cooking. Flatfish and gissel potatoes in Daemonheim. Nope. 27 fishing. No unlocks. But there is one thing we need to deal with here. We got the golden trout eggs. These are used in the aquarium in 2015. So we need to just get rid of these. You'll have to fish for them again. Yep. That is a 1 in 3 hours-ish, depending, chance. So, probably going to end up destroying a whole bunch of golden eggs as we train fishing here. I don't know if we can just turn these off. That'd be nice. Golden fish eggs. We don't have an aquarium, so I don't know where we would turn them off at. Since, like, construction doesn't exist, and we don't have the level for that at all. So, awkward. More awkward things to deal with. 37 cooking. Whole bunch more things we can no longer burn. Looks like all of the gnome foods. So that's cool. So once those exist, we will never burn them. If we decide to do any gnome restaurant cooking. Also, vanilla cheesecakes. Stop burning pita bread, regular bread, and sardines. And the blueberry special. So, as much as there is a huge number of things on this list, nothing we actually really care about. 28 fishing. That is slimy eels. It says riverbait fishing, but not this river. And also, not released. 17, fire making. That is a thing that is still happening here. No unlocks. Just another level. 29, fishing. No unlocks. 38, cooking. Cave eels and butter. So we can make some buttered cave eels, but not really. Because they don't exist and that's not a thing. And here is 30 fishing. Very good. Because that unlocks giant flatfish. Not really. That's in dungeoneering. That's not out. It unlocks salmon. While fishing a trout is 50 experience, fishing a salmon is 70. So, not only is it just better, it's just better, it's more experience. And then, cooking a trout is 70 experience, cooking a salmon is 90. But of course it's also going to be slightly more difficult to cook, since it's a higher level. 30 fishing, and 25 cooking for salmon. Used to heal 90, now heals 62.5. So, still a little bit underwhelming, but fly fishing is a very quick way of doing fishing. So we will see what foods we end up using for any training we get up to. But for now, that's going to be enough fishing and cooking. Level 30 is a nice place to be. We'll be able to get salmon. Really, I'm still looking for the higher level fish. But now, we can actually get to the quest that was released. All these other things really, really have overshadowed Pirate's Treasure. So let's get to it. The few items that we need can be obtained in Varrock. We trade Thessalia. We can grab a white apron. And then if we pop over to the general store, we can go upstairs and pick up a spade. And that is pretty much it. I also need some coins, but we already have those. And some teleports would be nice, but not quite to that level yet. So, I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, let's go to Port Sarim. The quest starts here with Redbeard Frank. R, matey. R yourself. What's the deal with that chest? That's in 2023. Don't worry about it. Let us get to what we're actually trying to do here. I'm in search of treasure. Treasure you be after, eh? Well, I might be able to tell you where to find some. For a price. What sort of price? Well, for example, if you can give me a bottle of rum. Not just any rum, mind. I'd like some rum made on Karamja Island. There's no rum like Karamja rum. Pirate's treasure. Accept. Okay, I'll bring you some rum. You're a saint. Although it'll take a miracle to get it off Karamja. What do you mean? The customs office has been clamping down on the export of spirits. You seem like a resourceful young lad. I'm sure you'll be able to find a way to slip the stuff past them. Well, I'll give it a shot. That's the spirit. Yes, giant treasure chest. That's not normally here. Eventually that's going to be gone. So, sure. We need to head to Karamja. I'm going to pay the fare here. Trip to Karamja will cost 30 coins. Yes, please. I'm probably going to turn off the boats cutscene once we're done here. Just appreciate it with the full steel. Look at us go. Look at us go. The ship arrives at Karamja. Perfect. We know exactly where the Karamja rum is, since we were already here earlier. Trade Zambo. Buy Karamja rum. Brilliant. And we also know all about the customs officer being an annoyance. So we're going to have to deal with them here. We talk to Luthus. We get some more information. Hello, I'm Luthus. I run the banana plantation here. Customs officer is annoying, isn't she? Well, I know her pretty well. She doesn't cause me any trouble anymore. She doesn't even search my export crates anymore. She knows they only contain bananas. Really? How interesting. Whereabouts do you send those to? There is a little shop over in Port Sarum that buys them up by the crate. I believe it's run by a man called Wyden. So we have a way to get things off the island. Could you offer me employment on your plantation? Yes, I can sort something out. There's a crate ready to be loaded onto the ship. You wouldn't believe the demand for bananas from Wyden's shop over in Port Sarum. I think this is the third crate I've shipped him this month. If you can fill it up with bananas, I'll pay you 30 gold. Brilliant. We need to get some bananas now. Specifically from his banana plantation here. We need 10 bananas. And picking 5 is an achievement. And we need 2 more inventory spaces here, so we'll just eat some of these trout. 10 bananas. Interestingly enough, this part of the quest was not necessary at the very beginning here. Karamja rum was tradable, and you could just teleport off the island with it. So you just give the rum to anybody trying to do the quest, or sell them the rum even, and they could just skip this entire part. That's pretty wild. But now it is untradeable. You can't bring it on the boats. You can't teleport away with it because it just breaks. It's a very interesting bottle of rum here. We stash the rum in the crate, and then fill it up with bananas. Just like that. I've filled the crate with bananas. Well done. Here's your payment. And we get 30 coins. Fruitful labor. Achievement get. Thank you. I'll be on my way. This is also technically a way to make money here. 30 coins at a time. Bringing bananas back and forth here. We will withdraw the money we've made from a few things. Get our total cash stack here of now 54,257. So that's something. And now we can successfully get off the island. The customs officer will search away, but we've hidden the rum, so no problems there. And one more boat ride here. Looking great. We have a seagull next to us. Wild. And we arrive back in Port Sarum, where we go and talk to Wyden. We got our white apron, which he's going to ask us to have. Let's get the full dialogue here. Wyden, welcome to my food store. Would you like to buy something? Could I get a job here? Well, you're keen. I'll give you that. Okay, I'll give you a go. Have you got your own white apron? Yes, I have one right here. Wow, you really are prepared. You're hired. Go through to the back and tidy up for me, please. I guess we had to not have the white apron at all. But he would just ask us to go get it, so that's fine. And wildly enough, he just has a white apron in the back. So not even providing employee uniforms here, when he clearly has one. Ridiculous. A lot of bananas in the crate, and we find our bottle of rum, and we take it out. Would you like a banana? Yes, please. And now, I'm not entirely sure what he wants us to tidy up in the back. Maybe he wants to pick up this banana and this white apron. It's perfectly tidy now. Fantastic job. Is it nice and tidy back? Is it nice and tidy around the back now? Oh yeah. Yes, can I work out front now? No, I'm the one who works here. Fair. Yes, are you going to pay me yet? No, not yet. And no, it's a complete mess back there. Ah, well. It'll give you something to do, won't it? So, not only is he not providing uniforms, he's also not paying us. Wild. I feel much less bad about taking his inventory. But here we go. We got the Karamjan rum. We can bring this right over back to Redbeard Frank. Nice and easy. Nothing super complicated. The boat is very much in the way. Have you brought some rum for your old mate Frank? Yes, I've got some. Now, a deal is a deal. I'll tell you about the treasure I used to serve under a pirate captain called One-Eyed Hector. Hector were very successful, became very rich. About a year ago, we were boarded by the customs and excise agents. Hector were killed, along with many of the crew. I were one of the few to escape, and I escaped with this. Frank happily takes the rum and hands you a key. This be Hector's key. I believe it opens his chest in his old room in the Blue Moon Inn in Varrock. With any luck, his treasure will be in there. So why did you never go get it? I'm not allowed in the Blue Moon Inn. Apparently I'm a drunken troublemaker. Yeah, fair enough. So, we've completed the task, and we were given not the treasure, but a treasure key. Just need to head on over to the Blue Moon Inn. This is where teleporting to Varrock would be convenient, if we had the magic level and the runes to do so. Because magic and teleports do exist now. So, ah well. We've been running around everywhere so far. A little more running around. Not the worst thing. We're not even going to bother asking anyone here at the inn. We're just going to barge upstairs, find the fanciest chest we can find, and open it up. Inside, we find a message, and that's it. Visit the city of the White Knights. In the park, Saradomin faces the X, which marks the spot. City of the White Knights, Falador. And they have a park there. So we will head over that way. At this point, it'd be nice to teleport to Falador. But for all the same reasons, we didn't teleport to Varrock. We're walking. And here is the Falador Park. We've got a statue of Saradomin here. Not exactly pointing towards an X. But we do have a very obvious stone X here now. So just need to dig here with a spade. And a gardener is unhappy with us, messing with his garden. We bash him over the head with a steel mace, dig the hole, and complete the quest. The rewards for this quest are exactly what they used to be. Everything checks out here. 2 quest points, the treasure chest, which we are going to open and get the rewards from, which is 450 coins and an emerald and a gold ring. The ability to work as a menial laborer on the banana plantation. I don't know if that's really a reward from the quest. We just do it as part of the quest. But menial labor is a reward in itself, huh? Sure. Not really. Open. You get our 450 coins. So we got another gold ring here, which we absolutely don't need. Go sell that to a shop. But this emerald is slightly more interesting. I've got some plans that maybe this emerald would be nice to have for. We can trade the shopkeeper here, sell the gold ring for 105. Can't do anything else with a gold ring, so there you go. So maybe we'll keep this emerald. We also have this diamond here too, so the inventory is filling up with things that we may or may not actually need or want, but it's a start at least. We've got decisions to make and XP rates to track and figure out how we're going to be approaching things. Next time. Goodbye.